bisexuality. If you're thinking that you might be bisexual, if you are bisexual and you want to find a little bit more, this is a video where we share our personal experiences and what we think about the matter. Everyone at some point in their life gets a little bit confused about their sexuality and fancying the same sex.
Yeah.
It's a completely normal thing that especially most girls go through. There's a lot of questioning and confusing, especially when you're going through puberty, you're going through school, you don't know if you like guys or girls, or even if you've always liked guys and you found this one girl that's, oh, she's a little bit fit, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Or if you're even just curious, you don't know what it's like and you've always liked the idea of it. Being bisexual can be a very exciting time in your life, of exploration, but it also can be really difficult to deal with.
Yeah. It's confusing. It's a really confusing time. In this day and age, being bisexual and gay is such a normal thing.
It's completely normal.
So I think more people are starting to question it in their selves.
I mean, it's more in front of your face. A lot of people couldn't even imagine the idea of the same sex together, especially if you've got parents or families that really don't agree with that kind of behaviour. I mean, you'll meet other people and you'd be like, what? Like, can that actually happen?
Yeah, but
and you
now,
learn about it in school.
But now it's completely acceptable, which is amazing.
Yes.
Like, I think it's such a great world that we're living in at the moment.
Being gay isn't illegal anymore. Woo! Well, in England, thank God for that. And same-sex marriage, woohoo! So have you ever felt bisexual?
Yeah, I have. I went through, I guess, like when I was a teenager, I went through those stages where I like made out with a friend. But back then, I found it really weird afterwards. I don't know if it was because it was my friend that I made out with, but then I also just like, oh God, why did I do that? What did I do that?
What is my fanny doing?
I went through a stage where I watched like back-to-back L-Word series and I was like convinced that I was sexually attracted to women after this. And of course also I have like many sexual fantasies about women as well. But I don't know, like I've only explored it a really small bit. I don't really know whether it's the fantasy and that's what makes it exciting to me, because it's something that I wouldn't usually do. And at the moment I'm sort of leaning on that path really. But I think sexuality is very fluid. I mean, we both agree that most people are sexually fluid.
Yes, most people, unless you've been brainwashed, unfortunately, by people who don't agree with it. Sexuality changes all the time, and you must remember that if you're feeling a little bit bi-curious and you're putting too much pressure on yourself, you have to understand that you might not feel that way for the rest of your life. This might just be a little bit of, exciting behaviour. Your mind is so incredible, it's going to think of every single sexual opportunity it can before you've even realised it's thought of that. So thinking about girls is okay.
So have you ever had any bisexual tendencies?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I've always been bisexual. At the moment, I'd say that I'd sway more to cock than I do vagina, but that's only because I've got a boyfriend at the moment. It doesn't mean I fancy them more or less. And I've also noticed that it changes so much as you grow up, like who you're more attracted to, depending on who attracts you. You know, if a boy attracts you, then you're like, oh yes, boys, boys, boys. But then if a girl attracts you, oh yes, girls, girls, girls. My parents were always completely okay with the idea of me having a girlfriend, and they were always really confident and talked about it a lot with us. So I grew up thinking that it was absolutely fine to fancy girls. And I grew up in a girls' school, and there was a girl at school that I was pretty much like obsessed with. She was completely gorgeous, but I never had a girlfriend. I've only ever had girly flings and sexual experiences. Since having my boyfriend, I've thought that I've been a lot less bi-curious, bisexual, thinking that maybe it was just a phase, until this gorgeous girl Alessa's come along, and she's just someone that I would 100% have a relationship with. And sometimes not finding the person that you're attracted to can confuse you. If you've come across a girl that you really quite fancy or like the idea of, and again, it doesn't have to be fancy, you might just want to fuck her. And that's absolutely fine as well. Like, you're allowed to explore. It's good to explore, especially because it will help you understand and feel more comfortable in the future about your sexual preferences.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with me, is that I would never really want a relationship with a woman because I like the whole masculine like partner. But I would have sex with a woman. Like, I think that would be really hot. But then again, because I've not done it, I don't know.
It's hard to say, especially if you haven't done it. And there's a really fine line between reality and fantasy.
Yeah,
I think
there is, yeah.
Most of my straight female friends watch gay porn, watch female gay porn, lesbian porn, because with porn, again, it being a fantasy, you can relate so much more to the girls you're watching on the screen. You can see that they're enjoying it, their facial movements, their body language, you can understand it and relate to it more, so therefore it turns you on.
I think most women fantasize about other women.
Oh, hell
I just think we do.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, everyone says that they watch lesbian porn and stuff, and it's just what we find is hot because women are hot.
The main thing you have to think about is just not putting pressure on yourself and thinking too much about it.
Yeah.
If you're young and you're really worried that you might fancy somebody, just be like, it's okay if I fancy them. It's okay to fancy multiple different sexes, multiple different people, just as it is multiple different guys.
Yeah, it really is. Have you ever had sex with a girl?
I have. Ooh. I mean, it also depends on what you define as sex. I feel that if there are two girls having a rough and tumble on the bed, there are fingers, tongues, lips, mouths everywhere, that's just as much as sex as penetration. There doesn't have to be penetration for it to be girl sex. I love boobs. I love vagina. It's all amazing. I do miss penetration, so if I am having sex with a girl, I like a toy. Yeah. But that's just because it feels so fucking good.
I think a lot of girls go through a stage where they're thinking, am I bi or is it just a fantasy? And it's the fact that they get turned on a lot by like kissing, touching, but then they think about eating a girl's pussy or fingering a girl, and it weirds them out a bit.
It can be very daunting, but that's only because it's an unknown area that you're not used to. You feel exactly the same if it was any other genitals, if it was a cock in front of you the first time. And it's just because you don't know. I mean, and on top of that, it's the added pressure of, we have a vagina, we should know how it should work.
Exactly. I think that's why it's so scary. It's like, I have this, but I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, and everyone's so different as well. Vagina tastes great. But that's only if you like the taste of vagina. You need to get used to it. It can be quite like a musty, tangy taste.
Yeah.
And obviously a clean pussy is nicer than a dirty pussy, but it depends on how much you smell. Not all vaginas smell at all. It's just as much as some cock smells. Cock smells pretty bad sometimes.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking bad. The best thing that you can do if you want to... Do I want ice cream?
So, the first time you ate someone out, were you feeling like that? Were you feeling like this? Were you feeling scared, weirded out?
No, I wasn't weirded out, but that's because I know I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't scared. I mean, I was a bit nervous because obviously every vagina is so completely different. But I also know that if you lick the clit area, it will feel good.
Yeah.
And depending on the setting, communication is so key when you're with a girl, especially because licking it in different ways will do different things to a vagina.
Yeah, for everyone.
And fingering a girl can be quite scary because you're only ever used to fingering yourself.
Yeah.
So fingering somebody else, I mean, it's worth doing your research for, but knowing that going down and up is more of a motion than trying to get your fingers in an awkward angle. And also just being gentle and understanding and communicating.
I think it's also really important to say that if you are feeling weirded out by it, then maybe it's not the right time to do it. I think you always need to feel comfortable with it. Don't force it. Do whatever feels natural to you. that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's easier to lick a girl out than finger her, but just ask her what she wants you to do or what she'd like to do. And if maybe she's more timid, then ask her to lick you out as well. Most of the time people have their bisexual experiences when they're drunken at parties and showing off in front of boys. Until you're like, oh shit, I don't like guys anymore. Oopsie. I like girls. But bisexuality is liking both sexes at the same time. A lot of people don't believe that bisexuality exists. I think that's bullshit. I think people can call themselves whatever they want to call them, whoever they fancy.
Yeah.
They should be allowed to say that I fancy both and I don't give a fuck.
I mean, I think people's preferences change throughout times in their life as well. Like you might meet one person, you might meet a guy and fall madly in love with him, but then you might meet a girl later on in your life and fall madly in love with her.
Yeah, it's all about who actually attracts you. It doesn't matter about sexes.
Yeah, it doesn't really. I think you just have to delete the sex. It's the person that you love.
Yes. Just enjoy what you enjoy. Follow who you fancy.
Exactly. Bisexuality is really normal, really common, and nothing to be ashamed of.
Oh, completely.
And worth experimenting with if you are feeling that you are bi-curious.
Give it a go. Eat a few pussies.
If you're thinking about it, then just experiment. Like, watch some things online, see how you feel, and if you don't feel like it, don't do it. If you do feel like it, do it.
Bisexuality was gonna say goodbye now.
If you like this video, please like down here.
Comment as well with your experiences or if any of what we said has helped you, and don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next week.
I'm gonna bisexual you. Bisexual. Bye. Bye.